seeing a lot of young people go in the direction of Marxism and cultural Marxism and wokeism. And the problem with Marxism is that it completely eradicates God. They want to remove God from the equation entirely. They want a godless society. And I can see a bunch of I can see a bunch of negatives with having a godless society. First of all, is that people are less moral, and that's what we're seeing at the moment in the UK. We become godless by becoming secular, and so I'm seeing less people have their hold to their convictions, right? Why, in your opinion, do you think more young people are not buying into religion, and why are they going down the route of Marxism and woke ideologies?
Really good question. So, when I get to talk to young people, they are surprised when I start to talk to them about theology, who God is, that God has placed eternity in our hearts, that actually Jesus says he is the way, the truth, the life, and start to unpack who Jesus is. Eyes start to open. The problem is that our universities have been infiltrated by cultural Marxism particularly, and we've been sent down this woke agenda of ideology and goodness, but there is no goodness outside of God. God is good. And so what happens is these people go on a trajectory and on a journey and get part way down the road and wonder why it's not working for them. And it's because they have been fed a narrative. Christian unions in universities and in schools are squeezed in so many ways, but we're not showing young people the dynamism that's Jesus. That's what we're not doing.
Another question then, and this kind of goes down the route of secularism, is that the UK is now considered a secularist country. I believe that it should be Christian. I think that even though I know that even though we are secularist, we've got a law that's based in Christianity. Would you say that Islam is incompatible with secularism? And if so, why?
Oh, Islam is absolutely incompatible with secularism. That's actually that's a huge topic. Also, Islam is incompatible with Christianity. That's another problem.
Yeah. So why would you say that is?
Different God.
It's a different God. So going by that argument, would you say that secularism just does not work with multiple religions?
Secularism doesn't work at all because it's about self. So we have I'm looking for here we go. We have a iPhone. We have an iPad. We had an iMac. I. That's secularism. It becomes about me. It becomes about consumerism. It becomes about my interests. As soon as you go down a secularist route, it does away with family and society and we. It means that we don't work anymore because it's about I. And that's why secularism ultimately leads to unhappiness and is a failure.
Another thing then, so I've been speaking to a lot of people today, and they feel like they've lost their British identity.
Yeah.
And I want to, especially among the younger generation, they don't know what it means to be British. They have no idea. I mean, Yuri Bezmenov, who was a KGB defector to Russia, when he worked for the KGB, he was a propaganda agent, right? And he wrote about ideological subversions. And in that, he says that it takes 15 years to enact a cultural revolution. And that's why? Because this is the number of years it takes to an entire generation, right? So the problem is we've got a generation growing up now that has no idea what it means to be British, yeah. And that's been done very deliberately. And now you'll ask a bunch of black people, is it okay to be black? They'll say yes, right? You ask white people, is it okay to be white? They'll say no, they're unsure, right? They don't feel proud to be British, not cool to be British, and they don't know what it means to be British. What would you say it means to be British?
It means, so we can look at the definitions of tolerance, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, a society that has a cultural standard that is actually inherently Christian. And the problem that we have right now is that if we cannot divorce Christianity from this nation. You can be a cultural Christian, but if you take Christianity out, everything falls like a pack of cards. That's the problem that we have. We can't be British without being Christian. That's the challenge, because our laws are based on the Ten Commandments. I didn't get a chance to say that in my speech a few moments ago. But unless the Lord builds the house and the decisions made in this Parliament are Christian principles and Christian laws, it will fail. And that's the problem that we have. And so what we try is we want to deny God but be British. We can't, because the relationship with God and this country is one that goes back, 1800 years. And so that's the challenge that we've got. And the problem that the reason why people don't want God, and they kind of want the fluffy bits around the outside, the reason why they don't want God is, if God is real, then we have to pay homage to him. The moment that we admit there is a God, then we have to serve him, because he's God, right? But as long as we stand here and go, there's no God, we're off the hook. But I have never, as a priest, met an atheist on their deathbed, ever.